Welcome back to Front Row Hustle, where we put women's basketball front row and centre. This episode, we speak to Alanna Smith. Yes, that Alanna Smith. Despite only starting basketball at age 13, the now 29-year-old has a long list of accolades to her name. She was the first ever international player to receive a scholarship to Stanford University as part of the women's basketball program. She's been to two Olympics, the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and the 2024 Paris Olympics, where the Opals won a bronze medal and Smith was named in the FIBA All-Star 5 for the Olympic Games. She is a FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup silver medalist, but most recently, she was named the WNBA Defensive Player of the Year for 2025. But aside from that, she's also known for her hilarious and very unique facial expressions when she's on court and her equally hilarious TikToks. Alanna Smith has been the top of the wish list for Front Row Hustle, and I was super excited to be able to interview her. And a funny story, the night before I recorded this interview with Alanna Smith, one of my good friends, Lana from the GC, who's also one of our first subs athletes, recommended I try and get Alanna Smith as a guest for Front Row Hustle so we could talk about coffee. But little did you know, Lana, that I'd already had her lined up the next day and I just didn't have the heart to tell you because I wanted to keep this as a surprise. So I really hope that you, Lana, and all of you hustlers out there enjoy this episode as much as I do. Welcome Alanna Smith to Front Row Hustle, or should I say hello?
Hello?
Hello? Do you know that has started to become a little bit of a meme, your hellos on TikTok and Instagram?
Yes, I have seen some memes come out of it, which I try not to watch too many of them to, lean away from the embarrassment of it.
No, it's certainly started to become a bit of a hilarious trademark, I think. Like I've seen someone edit a video where they just go through the first 3 seconds of your TikToks just to get all the hellos. And then someone has tweeted that the other day where it's like, Jock Landale in the post. And then they'll put this reel of you just going, hello, hello, hello. It was so funny.
I know, I need to trademark it.
Definitely. Like how Taylor Swift tried to trademark or copyright the phrase shake it off. I'm sure you can trademark hello.
Yeah. That's mine now.
Yeah. But yeah, we're just talking about how you're at home in Tassie at the moment. How's it been going so far?
Yeah, it's been beautiful. Just to be able to spend some quality time with family. It's sunny today, which is awesome. Hasn't been sunny the entire time, but that's okay. But yeah, it's been a very nice, relaxing time to recover, pretty much.
So can you still treat it as, like you said, a recovery where you can sleep in past an alarm, just have a casual day with no strict kind of time schedule or anything like you normally would in the regular season?
No. I am like wired for structure and schedule. So I wake up at like 7 o'clock every morning, and I don't do this as much now, but for the first like week and a bit, I would like wake up in a panic, like I have to go to training, I have to sit down and do some work. Like it took me a little bit. I'm still kind of feeling a bit anxious, like I have to do something. So I need scheduled stuff to do. I need structure, otherwise I feel a bit lost. So I still like go and work out. I've got my plan for the day, but it is a little less stressful and taxing than it is in season.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad that those kind of almost symptoms of the season have subsided since you got home when you're waking up in a panic. But I guess you get so used to that routine and get so conditioned to it that it becomes just a part of you.
Yeah, I think like every athlete could probably relate to that. And like I just have this insatiable drive to do everything in the morning, so I don't have to do anything in the afternoon. And I think like a lot of athletes can relate to that too, because you want to train in the morning so you can just relax for the rest of the day. So I try and get everything done by 11, and then I have the rest of the day where I'm like, I really could have just spread this out.
I was like, wow, you've lived a whole day before lunchtime. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, but I don't think it's not good for everyday life, because I literally just have nothing to do from 12 onwards. I'm like, well, just sit there like twiddling my thumbs.
I guess I better go get my fourth coffee for the day.
That's pretty much how my days roll around. Yeah.
Have you had your coffee already today? I'm sure lots of listeners are going to be wondering.
Oh, yes. Yes. My parents have a nice little espresso machine. And they live like a very, very short walk from a few cafes. So I get my fix every morning to get me going.
Yeah, it looks like on TikTok you've been trying to sample some of the local cafes as well down in Tassie, which looks pretty fun. But I wanted to show you, I'm not sure if these are in the States, and I'm not sure if you've seen them since you've come home, but have you seen these in the supermarket? Now, this is definitely isn't a sponsored bit because we are not that kind of podcast. These are like liquid espressos in little pouches that you can put straight over some ice and if you want milk. I didn't have milk because I'm living that bachelorette lifestyle where I don't have anything in the fridge, but there you go. And I know there's a
That's
Makona,
amazing.
so not the best, but you can buy Campos coffee ones of these at the supermarket.
Yeah, wow. No, I have not seen that. I've seen the little, like, you can buy these individual filter packets, and so they like fit in filter coffee. Like I think Axel does those. But not espresso, which like is hard to find. Like you have to buy the beans yourself and like bring beans. That's what I did. I brought beans with me to America, but that is way more efficient.
Yeah, so if you on one of your afternoon walks or something this afternoon, try and find the Campos copy ones of these. They're very, very handy. Hopefully, I haven't enabled some kind of different level to your coffee addiction now.
I think enable is the correct word. I just have a bunch of enablers around me and being like, yeah, like 8 shots a day, that's fine.
But anyway, let's get stuck into some of the nitty gritty and let's talk about the WNBA first. We need to certainly say a massive congratulations for being named the Defensive Player of the Year. Like, that is incredible. Like, you must have been so surprised.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's such a strange award to win, because like defense is like, especially in the WNBA, it's just a staple. Like you have to be able to defend, otherwise you're not going to be able to be out on the floor. And so when I was in talks of like being in contention for it and everything, I was like, oh yeah, like this is pretty cool. And then it actually happened. I was in shock. But yeah, I don't think it's actually hit me like how like big of an achievement that is. Like it takes a while to really set in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, aside from the likes of LJ, Penny Taylor, and alike who've made all-star teams and MVP, obviously, the last big award I feel like we had was perhaps someone like Leilani Mitchell getting 6 Women of the Year. So representing Australia's Defensive Player of the Year especially is a huge achievement. And I was looking at some of your highlights in preparation for today, and just so many times I just think, why are your opponents even bothering to go near you? Because you have just such a presence and you have great anticipation, especially when you're playing the second line of defense. And then I'm just thinking, come on, guys, like Alanna's right there. You just gotta just dribble back out and do something else.
I know. I don't think I'm the scariest looking player. Like I think I'm a little bit unassuming. And so like my physical presence isn't enough to deter people. Um, but I do have like a little bit of sneaky length, and I think like my timing and like ability to read the game really comes in handy as well. So hopefully next year people will start to learn a little bit.
Yeah, your length is outstanding. I mean, it's something that everyone already knows that you have, obviously being so tall, and your wingspan. But when you see it in action of being able to anticipate and get so many great deflections and blocks, it's almost like you have an ability to extend your arms just a little bit more, almost like Inspector Gadget or something, to get so many deflections. Yeah, to get so many hands on. But really, really outstanding achievement. So congratulations. We were all stoked for you here back home.
Thank you. Thank you. I think like it's a big honor, I think, to be able to represent Australia as well in one of the best leagues in the world. And so being able to be given an award like that as an Australian, like not many Australians are in that league, is really special too.
And speaking of the season, like you've spent it's been a bit of time now since the season ended, and obviously the season didn't end as you would have hoped with the Lynx. But what are some of your reflections on the season so far? Now you've had a bit of time away from it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were obviously devastated with how it ended, but we were all very aware of just how special the group we had was, and that we were able to like kind of retain that group for 2 years. And I don't think for a second we took for granted like the people around us, and we just had so much fun together. Like basketball aside, that was some of the most fun I've ever had playing on a basketball team. And so just being able to experience something like that, which can be really rare in pro sports, was really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said it can be really rare, because it was kind of really nice for me to hear it, and almost refreshing in a way how you reflected on it as a fun season. Like, I suppose when it really becomes your job like you're an athlete is your job, you don't think about the fun stuff. You think about the hard work that goes in, the winning together, the things you got to do off court. But you don't hear a lot of people say how fun it is. So that kind of really fills me with a lot of joy to hear you say that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not to say there wasn't hard work and like tough times, like life be life and sometimes, but I think it really was a joy to go to work every day. And like, even though everyone had their own stuff going on and like it can get hard, like personally, like I think being with that group, they really did a great job of lifting everyone up and making sure people were good and like having a good time. Because I think when you're having a good time and you enjoy what you do, it ultimately reflects on the court as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask as well, like, I know that the WNBA can be quite an intense environment when I've talked to different people who have had different roles in the league, particularly sometimes within the players, sometimes like competing with each other for minutes or for shots. Um, and that can create that kind of tension rather than the unity. But what were some of the specific things in your team with the Lynx that kind of help dispel those things to make it fun and to make sure that people were checking in on each other? Was it kind of Cheryl implementing those things, or did it come from somewhere else?
I think it was a combination of Cheryl and the way that she coaches, and then our like leadership team and vets really led the way in terms of like setting the culture and maintaining it. Cheryl does a really good job of role clarity. Like, you know exactly what your role is and expectations for what we need from you on court. And if you forget, she'll remind you. So don't worry about that. And so every player knows what everyone else's role is too. And I think that can go one of two ways. Like, if you respect the roles and understand that everyone is valuable on the team, it can be really successful. But then there are also points where maybe you don't accept your role and your role isn't respected, and then that can cause some issues. So I think we were on the side of everyone accepting their role, and every role was really, really valued from the top down. And I think that was led by our older players, like our core starting five did a really, really good job of that type of stuff. And so when you know exactly what you need to do and you're given the tools to do it, it's not hard to succeed.
And like you touched on earlier, being able to take care of each other and having fun together definitely transfers onto the court. Is there a bigger focus in the WNBA of kind of team bonding off court as there is in, say, the WNBL or maybe even an NBL 1 level?
I would say no. I think like because I think I would compare like playing. I played 1 year in the WNBL, but I grew up in Australian basketball, and it was just a rite of passage. Like after practice, you'd go and get coffees with your friends and your teammates, and like you'd get dinners on the road. Like you spend a lot of time with these people off the court as well with your teammates, and that was just an expectation in Australian basketball. Whereas when I went overseas, America, Asia, Europe, that wasn't the case. Like there wasn't this expectation that people hung out after basketball was done. And so you really had to put in a personal effort to do it. And it's not something that's super focused on in the WNBA. I would say like that we don't have a lot of team bonding activities. Like the players really have to drive that. And that's where I think, like I said, our vets did an awesome job of making sure that like we were all developing chemistry on and off the court. And in the end, like I've got some amazing friends from this team that I'll hold on to for life. And I think all of us had the same sentiment in that we just didn't want the season to end because we didn't want to say goodbye to all of these amazing people that we get to spend so much time with.
Well, I think this is maybe a good segue just to touch on the stud buds, talking about hanging out together off court and making it really fun. The stud buds, oh my gosh, they just had another whole different kind of impact on the W this season. And you were very lucky to have them as teammates. Are they seriously that fun and that hilarious like all the time?
That's what I think is so endearing about the stud buds and why people love them is because they're so genuine, like that they are authentically themselves. And like I remember when they first posed the idea of streaming to us as a team, they're like, hey, like Court said to us like, hey, me and T, we're gonna stream together. And the whole team was like, that is an amazing idea. Like, you guys are going to kill it. You're hilarious. Like, the energy that they bring, like, that was something that was so valuable to us as a team. And they were willing to share it with the rest of the world pretty much. Like, you're going to shoot to stardom. And lo and behold, they did. Because, like I said, they're so authentically themselves. And I think that's what's the best thing about it is that they're just being themselves and people love it. And they're also, like, very, very funny. Like they're great.
Yeah, their authenticity certainly comes through actually in their videos. You make a good point. Even when they're streaming from live events or they're streaming from what looks like a Walmart, you can tell that they're hitting the same notes every time and they're just being themselves. But oh my gosh, being around that as well as your teammates must again add to the fun of going to work every day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think like watching them succeed too was so awesome. Like I think are expected, especially as female athletes, to like be looking our best and like acting on our best behavior all the time and making sure that we're polished and perfect and like not stepping on any toes and no controversy, like any sniff of controversy and it blows up into this huge story. Whereas these guys are coming out and just saying what they think about things and like giving their opinion and no filter. And I think that's what was so cool about it is that they were like allowed to do that and celebrated for it and like showing different layers of themselves rather than having to put up this like appearance of like, oh, like we're just regular normal girls that don't do anything. Like, no, we are people, we have opinions, we have layers, and we're going to talk about it, and we'll make you laugh while doing it too.
Yes, especially to athletes who are, the pink hair as well, like traditionally that would be like a woman deviating from the kind of societal norms of being a certain way, to women who, dare I say, are also very mask presenting. And then to show the vulnerability in one video, to have a full glam makeover, which they just embraced. And Natasha really got into it in the end. I still couldn't believe that was her. I'm like, no, this has to be someone else. Like, this is a stitch up. But things like that, I think there's going to be so many young people out there look up to the W that are going to identify with that, because that's a very specific type of content that probably people haven't seen, or the type of the life of a WNBA athlete a lot of people haven't seen either.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the era of social media has changed and shifted over time, and like it used to be like very new and people just like share random photos, and then it kind of has evolved into like you got to show, like, put forward this perfect life and everything's really cool and blah blah blah, and now it's like getting more into that like real like vlogging, like this is what my day looks like, and giving insight into things that people don't normally get to see. And so I think like that really allowed those guys to shoot to fame through the All-Star weekend, because no one really knows what All-Star weekend looks like, and they gave people a glimpse into it, and they loved it. They loved like having that exclusive access and like seeing like what goes on a little bit in those moments. And I think that's why people are so interested, because they do a really good job of like giving a little taste of what a WNBA player does and experiences.
And there was such great influences for the season that even Cheryl was going to be a stud bud if you won the championship. And I think, look, Cheryl sounds great. I've seen her in interviews. You've spoken very highly of her. She still scares me a little bit personally, and I'm just watching from over here. But for her to say that she was willing to become a stud bud with the shaved head and the pink hair, if you won a championship, that sells a lot too.
Yeah, I think Cheryl's done a good job of helping us like stay grounded. I think her motto was always keep the main thing the main thing. But then also like when people have interests and stuff going on outside of basketball, she wants you to nurture that. She understands that we're people first. And so I think she, she was really really supportive of the stud buds and what they were doing, and like how well it was going for them. And I think like her being willing to dye her hair pink was just kind of representative of like how the whole team was like getting behind the stud buds, like it was pretty cool.
And speaking of Cheryl, obviously sounding like she's so supportive of you as players, what was the response like when she said her piece in the press conference about the refereeing, and then she got fined? So what was the team's response when that happened? Because for us here at home, we were really, a lot of people I spoke to were super impressed with how she spoke, and so honestly in the press conference, and then we felt really bad that she got fined for it, but understood why. But what was the team's response?
Yeah, I think like for a long time, Cheryl's been a player's coach. Like she goes hard for her players. I don't know. I bet someone's made a highlight tape out there of her reactions on the sideline, because she goes hard. She's ripping her jacket off. Like assistant coaches have to hold her back as she's running. And like, yeah, she is definitely a big advocate for us, because a lot of the times we can't say much. Like we kind of have to make sure that we're measured and calm and controlled, because not only does it impact us on court, but also impacts us off court as well. So she does a really good job of taking on that responsibility of advocating for us. And so I wish I could have been in the back of that press conference, like, go Cheryl, woo! I love that she's so vocal about it, and that she's like got our backs.
Yeah, it sounds like such a great program. And I think almost like an outlier of a WNBA team, just from the outside, of how much, like you said, how fun it is, how much people take care of each other to create that great environment, and obviously has its successes on the court too. So again, congratulations on another successful WNBA season. Hopefully we'll see you back with the Lynx as well. But I'm going to change gears a little bit now and just talk about a little bit more of the basketball nitty gritty throughout your career. So having a look at your career as a whole, you've certainly been a high achieving player, an elite player for a long time, including being the first international scholarship holder at Stanford, which people need to remember. But I think the part of your career I just want to touch on quickly is when you went to Poland to play. I feel like your game really excelled even further when you went to Poland. So what do you think was the catalyst for that at that particular time in your career? Was it like the timing of you going? Was it the environment? Or was it just being able to get more reps under your belt?
Yeah, I think like people have asked me about this and like, wow, your game improved so much. You must have like put in so much work in the off season, blah, 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 which like I did, like I definitely did. But I actually don't think my game really changed that much. I had just come off of a really, really tough year. Like I'd played for Indiana and been waived 10 games in. And then went and played NBL 1 in Townsville and went to an Opals camp and arguably had a great camp and didn't make the World Cup team, and was cut from the national team after being a part of it since I was like 18. And so I felt like I'd just taken blow after blow that year. And I had a decision to make, like, do I ruminate on all of these things and have a woe is me type of attitude, or do I just move on and try and enjoy playing basketball? I really tried to reframe my mindset and just have fun playing, which I think like we've spoken about a lot, like, oh, just have some fun. But I really like went into that Polish season with the effort of just trying to find joy in playing basketball, because like that year had really, really challenged me and had made it really hard for me to enjoy playing basketball. And so I think that's kind of why I had a great season, because I kind of had a bit of a like screw it mentality, like who cares, like just go and see what you can do. And yeah, it turned out great.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit more of a freeing kind of experience in the face of adversity and having such a tough year, like you said. And then playing in Poland, where I think I read in an article you did with Megan Hustwaite for ESPN some time ago about how you would play 3 times a week and have these 10-hour bus trips. That sounds, I don't even like going on like a 2-hour, 3-hour road trip on my own. I guess a 10-hour bus trip. No, I'm not too sure if I'd still kind of enjoy that anymore, even with a team full of athletes. But did you try and find some fun on those bus trips? Because you were with Chantel Horvat as well that season. Did she get you into some crocheting at the back of the bus?
I did not crochet. No, she didn't get me with that until the year after when we played in Turkey together, but took a year. But I think like she was a big reason as to why I had that like big turnaround and that big shift in mindset, like playing basketball with one of your best friends in a foreign country. Like it's just such a unique experience. And so she was one of one of the big reasons why I had such a good time. We also had an American point guard, Lindsay Allen, who was awesome. Like the three of us got along so well. And I think that made me realize too that the people around you and the people on your team are so important. They can make or break your experience, because I was taking 10 to 12-hour bus rides once a week, and I was still having the best time, and I was in the butt crack of Poland, and I was still enjoying myself, you know. It was the dead of winter in Eastern Europe, and it was snowing, and my car was sliding down ice on a hill, and I was still like having a laugh. Like, I think like the people around you and the way that you frame things really, really impacts the experiences that you have. And so I was very, very lucky that I had Chantel there with me, and Lindsay too, to just like boost morale, basically.
Yeah, we love Lindsay Allen. We love LA down here in Australia. She had a great career in the WNBL with the Boomers. Super popular player. Hopefully she makes her way down here as well. Totally forgot that she was with you in that team. So it's really cool to hear that she was a part of making your Polish experience so positive too. And you talk about how you frame things in your mind in terms of having the people around you helping reframe what kind of situation you're in, whether it's on or off the court. And something I didn't get a chance to ask earlier and touch on earlier is that you do have a master's of psychology. Like, you've just submitted your last thesis, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah, I don't have my master's. It was my honors.
It's your honors.
Yeah, when I tell Americans about it, they don't do an honors year. So I'm like, I'm just working towards my master's is how I frame it, because otherwise I have to get into the dirty details of Australian schooling, and I just don't have time for that. But I did submit my honors thesis, and that was another added challenge into playing a WNBA season as well, which I have no one to blame but myself for that.
That sounds impossibly unsustainable, being a W athlete and doing an honors thesis. Also, congratulations on completing it, because for those who haven't done an honors thesis or similar, it's I don't know how to describe it. Like,
it's horrific.
yeah. It's I don't think there's a diplomatic way of saying it. I hated it.
I would not recommend.
No. Nope. I hated it. When I did my honors thesis, I did it on top of my fourth year coursework, and I was so cocky. I was doing well at uni, had a good GPA. I'm like, this will be great. Like, this will be maybe a stepping stone to a PhD, and it destroyed me, and I hated it. So I also do not recommend. Yeah. So you must have felt like so good it was done.
I would rate it a 3 out of 10. It was not good, and the only reason it's a 3 is because it's going to boost me to a master's, hopefully. So, but very, very happy it's done. Great experience. Like I said, very challenging, and it definitely like pushed me to my limits and like made me realize like, wow, I'm very, very capable of doing hard things. Probably won't try and attempt to be doing those types of hard things ever again.
It was like, you remind yourself with an honors thesis you're good at doing hard things, or you can achieve hard things. Like, have you forgotten that you're also an Olympian? That sounds pretty hard too.
Yeah, I was actually doing my thesis at the Olympics. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, God. Gee whiz. Yeah, really making it hard for yourself there. But I was also going to ask, is there anything that you've learned in your study of psychology that you have then been able to use in your own game? Like, I spoke to Alex Sharp a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about acceptance and commitment therapy, using that to help reframe some of her own perspectives on her own game or situations and things like that. But have you been able to find a transference through your study?
Yeah, definitely. I think you kind of pick little things up from different areas and different modalities that you study and that you look into. And so for me, a lot of like the mental work that goes into playing basketball and being successful, and also just like maintaining your own well-being. A lot of it has come from the different areas of study within psychology. And so like we talk about like reframing, like that's a big part of many, many modalities within psych, and even like mindfulness stuff. I think I've really tried to adapt into my everyday. And I think like one of the biggest things is like making sure that not only is my physical well-being good, like my mental and emotional well-being is really, really important as well, which I think is becoming more and more of a focus for athletes, which I think is awesome, because it wasn't for a long time and people were suffering in silence. And so now it's like a big part of athletic performance is your mental and emotional well-being. Which is great, because that's all I've really been studying for the past, like, I don't know, long time. So yeah, I think it's definitely helped like elevate me and my game.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree as well that it wasn't something that was always offered, if ever offered, to athletes. With sports psychology, it was still this attitude of like, you've got to tough it out, you've got to find a way to get over it, rather than just trying to develop some strategies that's going to help your performance at the end of the day, without kind of recognizing that when we're super anxious and we've got that performance anxiety, we're not going to perform very well. You can't do anything in regular life when you're super anxious. So how are we expected to just kind of deal with performance and anxiety and expected to, have a double every game?
Yeah, I think it definitely takes the pressure off of athletes to feel like they have to just figure out ways to deal with it themselves and push through. And I think it also allows for vulnerability as well. And that goes back to what I was saying before with like athletes having to like put on this appearance of like nothing phases them, everything's fine, everything's perfect. Like no, like we are people too. Like we go through life challenges and life experiences that make things really hard for us, and we're just like the rest of you, like 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 we have to be able to juggle different things on and off the court, and like being able to talk about it and be vulnerable about it, I think is so important. And I think that's becoming like more and more accepted in recent times.
Yeah, and certainly just continuing to try and break that myth or unfair expectation of athletes having to be a certain way, particularly female athletes having to be a certain way, as you touched on earlier, those traditional expectations and norms of how a female should be. And because you even see online where it's like, oh, an athlete, they shouldn't be on TikTok, or they shouldn't be doing XYZ, or yeah, just things like that we need to start dispelling, I think.
Yes, I agree. I hate the line of shut up and dribble. Like I think like if you're entitled to sharing your opinion on Twitter about me and tweet about me constantly, why can't I post a silly little TikTok?
Yeah, exactly. And we love, most of us though are loving all the silly little TikToks. It's always just, there's got to be those couple of people out there that I've seen people DM you horrible stuff on your Instagram profile after a game, or for just, existing. And it's always those moments, those smaller moments that feel so much bigger. But we need our athletes like yourself to remember that we still love all the other stuff. There's lots more people that love the other stuff and your silly little TikToks. Even last night, I said to one of my friends, oh, I've got a podcast recording tomorrow morning with a WNBA player. And I didn't tell them who it was. And they said, you should get Alanna Smith and talk about coffee in her TikToks. And I was like, well, little do you know. Yeah. Just you wait. Yeah. I also had a basketball nitty-gritty question from a good friend of mine named Lily. She also co-hosts a podcast called WNBA Pulse. She has noticed that a lot of our guards in the Opals program have been able to develop quite quickly when they're playing in Australia, and particularly under some coaches, for example, like a Shannon Seaborn. So if we have a think about how quickly, and like the likes of Steph Reed, Courtney Woods, Abby Ellis now, how well they're all developing in Australia, but it seems to be very guard focused. And Lily's made this great observation that there doesn't seem to be the same attention or rate of development for our bigs when they're in Australia and that they have to go overseas. Is that something that you've experienced as well in your career?
I think like there are cycles to it. Like you go through stages of like players coming through programs and like the talent that appears as like young like talent coming through. And for a while there, like we didn't have like a huge like I didn't think that like the guards were up to standard, I'd say. And like a lot of guards were going overseas as well. So I think like it goes through cycles of like talent appearing and like, oh, this is like a really cool generation of athletes coming through. And I think us being like so isolated, like it's hard to get experience with different styles of basketball and like adapting to like different play and everything. And so as the years have gone on and like players are coming down and playing in the WNBL more now, like you're getting a lot more like talent through imports and stuff coming through, and like people going to college and coaches, like you've got trainers coming down from America and everything. Like I think over the past few years, like that type of stuff has really helped Australian basketball in general. I think from the big standpoint, what we don't have compared to the rest of the world is just sheer size. Like I think myself and Ezzy and then maybe Zatina as well, like we're some of the biggest right now in that in like that national team, that squad, whereas you're going up against like 6'9" in Brazil and in America and France. Like they've got just these big bigs that we don't see often. Like you just don't get that in Australia. You don't get that experience of playing against those types of bigs in Australia. And so you have to go overseas to experience it and be able to adapt and play against it and adapt your game to like just length, like that type of length, and being able to be effective. And so I think that is kind of my observation with the big side of things. I think we've got some really exciting talent coming through like you see some of the COE kids, like my sister's in there, but also she's got a teammate who's like really raw. Like I think her name's Jemima, and she's big and she's like only just started playing basketball, but she's like learning so fast. Like that type of stuff is really exciting because we're going to be able to compete with like the 6'9" of the world because we've got some really exciting talent coming through. But I think it goes in cycles. And it's great that we've got coaches like Shannon who can have such a great impact on guards. And then we have the option of being able to go overseas, and like college is becoming this amazing option for kids now too. And I think it's helpful to develop your game when you can play against like some of the world's best and be able to experience it.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense now when you put it that way, is that because we have so many more guards in Australia, we're already going to be able to develop them and have a higher standard, and then the higher standard compete against each other to push each other. But if you don't have enough bigs, or you're only going to have a couple, they're going to be great, but then they don't have that big enough pool to be able to challenge them even more. So that's why people need to, like yourself, perhaps need to go overseas for more of those opportunities. That makes a lot more sense, actually. But I'm glad to hear that you've seen also some of the emerging Australian talent coming through in those spots, because when it comes to times of like Olympics, World Cups, Asia Cups, qualifiers, a lot of the questions are always like, where are our up and coming bigs coming from? Like, who have we got when we've got Ezzy and Alanna as like the starters and the staples for however long, until, you know, you're going to be playing till you're like 40. So I'm just going to put that out there. But then who have we got next? Like, but yeah, who's got next? So I'm glad that you can see that there's that talent. Obviously, Satea Fagan's making some headway. We've also still got Isla Juffermans as well. She's out at Louisville at the moment for her college career. But again, they've all had to kind of go to college, get out of here, and continue to be challenged in their positions.
Yeah, and I'm a massive advocate for going overseas, and if you have the opportunity to going to college, I think, like, just from my personal experience, I wouldn't be where I was if I didn't go to college. And not only that, it's so unique. Like, you get this amazing basketball opportunity, but also just life experience in general. And I think, like, if you're able to do it, give it a go. Like, it's so cool that those opportunities are there for athletes now, and that it's like people are seeking out Australians as well. And it's now with NIL coming up, like, you can go over, get this life experience and get paid. What? I wish I was a college athlete right now. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's so cool.
Oh, you'd at least have boxes of coffee beans being sent to your dorm if you were staying on campus at Stanford. At least.
Oh, you'd hope so. Oh, you would absolutely hope so.
And coming up for you career-wise, you've been announced that you're going to play in Unrivaled. So that's pretty cool. I think, are you and Ezzy going to be the first Aussies playing Unrivaled?
I think so. I think we're leading the charge for Australians, and maybe foreigners. I'm not sure if they've had any foreigners in that league yet at all. Maybe not. But yes, very excited to get amongst it in Miami.
Miami. Oh, I couldn't remember where it is held, but just for our listeners who don't know a lot about Unrivaled, give us a quick 2-sentence spiel about what it is and what it's all about.
Yeah, so basically it's a 3-on-3 league, except the court is considered a full court, but smaller dimensions of a full court. So we're not having to play 3-on-3 like with an entire full court, but it's still like fast paced and not just in that half court format that 3-on-3 usually is. There's 8 teams now. There was 6 last year, but they added 2, and they've got a selection of WNBA players, some of the best WNBA players on each team. I think it's 4 or 5 on each team. And it's quick hitting. It's 10 weeks long. So I think there's 2 games a week. We play 2 games a week. And there's a one-on-one competition that happens in the middle of it. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. It's fast paced. And it's new, it's fresh. I think this is its 2nd season. So it's still a baby in that sense, but it's really player focused, like really emphasis on elevating the players and their brand as well. So you really get to know individuals through this league as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was only 10 weeks as well. So given the short length of time, but the intensity of the league and the opportunity to keep further developing your game against a high caliber level of athletes, is that some of the things that attracted you to sign on for Unrivaled this season?
Yeah, exactly. I think I've been playing professional basketball since 2019 and pretty much year round since then. And so the chance to have a little bit of a break, but also play and develop and play against some of the best players in the world for a couple months is really exciting, and something that, like, I feel like I need to do personally. And so to be able to do that through Unrivaled is awesome. And then I get to have Christmas at home, and I get to spend a really good chunk of time at home, which, like, for a lot of Australians playing professional basketball overseas, you don't get. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me.
And when does it start exactly for 2026? Have they announced the official dates yet, or is it still to come?
The first game is on January 5th. They haven't announced the teams yet. I think they're doing a draft style thing.
Yeah, a draft, yeah.
Yeah, in the next couple of weeks. So that should come out soon, because I don't actually know which team I'm on. So it's going to be news to me as well. So I'll be eagerly waiting to see. But yeah, January 5th is first game.
Awesome. We'll definitely look forward to that. I think they've still got to announce 2 more players to join Unrivaled. And then from what it says on the official website, there's a draft committee. And then, yeah, sounds like they'll have a draft and off we go in January. And yeah, it's going to be exciting. It was well received over here, I think, by a lot of the fans of women's basketball. So we'll definitely be tuning in January 5th. Perfect time for the holiday season.
Yes, I think it would be very fun. And now that a couple of Aussies are in there too, hopefully, like, we'll get some Australian fans watching, getting their eyes on the league, and just boosting women's basketball in general.
Definitely. Now, we are about to wrap up, but I've got some more lighthearted questions to ask you before we say goodbye, Alanna. The first one is something that I want to know is that we know you grew up in a basketball family, that basketball is always going to be an influence in your life, but I want to know, how did you get so funny? Like, where did you get your sense of humor from? Who's cultivated this?
I have this theory. I really do. I have this theory that, like, people that go through, I don't want to say like traumatic experiences, because I haven't gone through like crazy traumatic experiences, but people who go through like really hard life experiences and like experience a lot of adversity are the funniest, because they just approach it with humor. And so that's like my coping mechanism, is like when I go through hard things and adversity, like I just have to laugh at it. And so I think like that's kind of developed into this twisted sense of humor that I've got. Like, I just have to make a joke of it. Like, you got to laugh instead of cry, you know?
Well, exactly. That's the makings of a great comedian, is turning tragedy into comedy. I think that's something that you will share with a lot of even professional comedians, that it certainly comes from somewhere in terms of like a hardship or a struggle or a trauma-based kind of thing. So I think you're on the money. I think you got the right formula.
Yes. Would I have preferred to not go through it? Probably. But now I've come out with some great stories, and great sense of humor, and maybe a few years lost of my life, but who's counting?
Yeah. It all creates the rich tapestry of life. If we didn't have our struggles, then we wouldn't be who we are now, right?
Yes, for sure. And I think like
Yeah,
a lot of the times as well, like, I'm doing it for the plot. Do it for
the plot. That's right. Do it for the plot. And I see as well, based on some of your TikToks, you're a big fan of wearing Kobe's. Do you have like a top 3 favorite Kobe's that you like to wear?
Yeah, I got a couple pairs of, this was years back, and I haven't worn them a lot because I want to keep them around. But I've got a couple pairs of the Grinches that are really cool.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. But big fan of the Protros. I don't know, like, I was never really a big shoe person. Like, it just wasn't who I was until I signed with Nike, and then they started sending me shoes, and I was like, this is pretty sick.
Yeah.
So they've turned me into this what is it called, sneakerhead.
Oh, sneakerhead, yeah. Because I don't know anything about. I still don't have that chip installed in my brain of being a sneakerhead. I like sneakers, but I wouldn't be able to tell you whose sneakers they are, what series it is, what year. I don't know. Is it a nice color? Great, love it.
That's all you need to know, really.
That's all I need. Yeah, yeah. And I should say colorway because I think that's the correct terminology for sneakerheads.
I know, I feel like a bit of a fraud because, like, I'm not a sneakerhead. Really not.
And then I've been told directly by reliable sources that your sister Andy, who you spoke of earlier, can dunk. Have you seen this in the flesh?
No. So we're gonna have to see evidence of it before I can confirm. No, she's super athlete. Like, she's probably more athletic than I was at her age, which is super exciting for her. But yeah, before we make these claims, we're gonna have to see real life evidence. Gonna have to have to confirm.
She's not dunking on you. She's not dunking on you in the backyard just yet.
No. She has blocked me a couple times. So I've practiced with her a couple times, and I hate to say it, but she has blocked my shot. Which, keep that between you and me, okay?
Yeah.
No one else.
Well, it's going to be tough to dunk on the Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA, so we'll give her some time.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling her. I'm like, don't even try it. Don't.
And our lucky last question to wrap up, Alanna, is what do you think is the biggest misconception people make about you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm actually just like I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, and I don't think people kind of get that from the outside. I think like that's a big part of being an athlete, is like being able to regulate your emotions and like not get rattled by certain things. But at heart, I am like the world's biggest softie. Like I like when growing up, all my parents had to do to discipline me was tell me that they were disappointed in me and it would ruin me. So I've done a lot of work in like making sure that I can, like set that aside. But I'm a very like emotionally sensitive person, which a lot of people probably don't know.
And then, combining that with giving Andy some one-on-one private lessons in the backyard, I'm sure you're shaping up to be a great role model for Andy as well. Are you giving her much advice as she heads into her own kind of professional career eventually, now that she's with the COE?
Yeah, I mean, I try. I don't know if she receives it or not. But I can only really lean on my experiences and what I did as a kid and what worked for me and what didn't. And so that's what I try and give to Andy, is just like the stuff that I went through and what I learned from it. And she kind of has to forge her own path, which I think she's doing a really good job of. And, try not to be too influenced by me and like what I'm doing, what I've done. And like, she's her own person and she's her own athlete. And so she can kind of take some of the lessons that I learned, but she is definitely walking her own path and kind of forming her own identity as an athlete, which I think is really important for her too.
Absolutely. That's a very, very nice sentiment. Great big sister energy you're giving as well.
I try, and then I have to remind her. No.
But Alanna, it's about that time for another coffee, I think. So
yeah.
yeah.
One on the hour every hour.
At one on the hour every hour. That's right. But thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest here on Front Row Hustle today. It's been such a rich and very enjoyable conversation. So I know a lot of listeners are going to enjoy hearing a lot of your insights and experiences on various things that we've covered today. But for me, you were top of my list as a guest of Front Row Hustle. So personal achievement for me that you've been a guest today. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate having you on today.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.